Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3. We just had a fun conversation about which season and episode it was of TVGP's Critical Misses. This season, we are watching all the Ocean's hits we've missed. Last time was Ocean's 12. This time is, unsurprisingly, Ocean's 13. Came out in 2007, still directed by Steven Soderbergh, which is kind of surprising when you get a popular director 3 movies in. I feel like that's a lot more common nowadays.
No, it's a lot less common nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think it used to be a case of if you have a director who likes doing things like that genre or feel like they have an onus on that genre or that franchise, then they stick with it.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it's just a mercenary director who comes in to film one movie,
right,
then you have a tendency to get the multiple directors. Like, I think it's probably the people who feel like they created the franchise continue to come in, because Aliens is a good example of 4 different directors with 4 different visions and 4 different styles.
Right.
And then Harry Potter, they don't own any of that. So you've got 5 directors on that. Fast and Furious, you've got 4 different directors there too.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think it helps that Ocean's 12 performed fairly well. So it's sort of like if the second one didn't do very well, I'd be like, yeah, you guys want to make another one? That's fine. Like, just I don't have to direct it. It's fine.
I give you Fast and Furious as a good example of this.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, Too Fast didn't do so well, so do whatever you want. Yeah, so the only thing I really know about this is Julia Roberts and Catherine Zeta-Jones don't return in this one. So it's sort of a pretty full-on sausage party going on this time. And I remember watching about half an hour of this movie, and not that it was bad, it was just I really wasn't in the mood for it. So it's like, okay, I'll watch it later. That's fine. And then here we are. I've never watched it later.
Yes,
until 2020.
Later, meaning 16 years later.
That's right.
Honestly, I have never seen this movie. I cannot remember the trailers for this movie. I literally can't remember anything about this movie at all.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it was a case of, I liked Ocean's 12, but it wasn't as good as 11. So I think I'm just going to ignore this movie because I just don't feel invested in it at all.
It's like the second Pacific Rim, where it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why do we need to do this?
Dude, Pacific Rim is so good.
Pacific Rim is so good. It's good enough that I haven't even attempted to watch the second one.
And me neither, funnily enough. Yeah. I haven't given that the chance.
Good. Yeah. I do know Al Pacino is in this, which for me is largely a selling point, because if he's good, he's really good, and if he's bad, that might make the movie better. But
I think I've only seen 2 Al Pacino movies.
Okay.
If that.
Which ones were they?
I don't know. Generally, he is not in genres that I really like.
Yeah.
Very much like Robert De Niro. It's like, I just don't care about you or the movies you act in a lot.
Well, and I feel like, especially with De Niro, we're seeing third phase De Niro, where he's kind of making fun of his other movies, like Meet the Parents. You're sort of like, okay, this is not the roles I usually see him in. The only other thing too is Terry Benedict shows up on the poster this time. So the one thing I remember from this franchise at one point is Terry Benedict joins the crew for a little bit.
So that's what this one is.
I'm assuming he is the 13th Ocean.
But yeah, in all honesty, I've probably only seen 1 Pacino movie, 2 Any Given Sunday, which is
it's a good movie.
Great movie.
Yep.
And I just went past it. I lost it. And
waiting
Dick
for you
Tracy.
to say. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like Scent of a Woman. It's like, yeah, everyone's seen that.
Nope.
But nope, Dick Tracy. Yep.
Never seen Scent of a Woman, never seen Serpico, never seen any of the Godfather movies.
Oh, yeah. I think we have Godfather on our list. I hope we
3. Scarface.
Ah, well, yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, this will be number 4.
What an
Ocean's 13
collection it is.
Yeah, it's legendary performance. Oh boy, this is.
Oh my word!
I love doing this show. It's so good.
Like, literally, it's the type of movies he's in. They all look like gangster movies, and I'm not a huge fan of gangster movies, with one exception. Layer Cake is the best gangster movie ever made. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Go watch Layer Cake. It's really good.
Solid movie.
I feel like I don't have super big expectations for this movie. I'd like to see them continue the overall style that we've been seeing with the first 2 movies. I feel like that's one of the hallmarks of this trilogy. I especially want to see them do that in Ocean's 8. But I feel like the basics are sort of expected, where it's like, I want to see a cool style. I want to see some really weird shots like they did in Ocean's 12. And
you just want a plane flying sideways across the screen again. Yeah,
like sideways and upside down, like put in an angle, whatever, like flip it around. Who cares? Like, yeah, I mean, let me see some cool planes. And I feel like there's going to be at least one heist in this movie, because I feel like they wouldn't get, after the reception of 12, they wouldn't get weird enough to say, like, there's no heists. Haha, that's the heist. You know, there's none of them.
They went 1 heist to 3 heists before even the halfway moment had begun.
Right.
So now we're up to what? There's going to be 15 heists, and one of them is going to be in an airplane.
Every act of the movie has 2 heists.
Escalation is the only way to go.
That's right. That's right. What are your expectations for this one?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like, honestly, I just, like you said, like, the thing, I don't pay attention to DPs, like director of photography, is I don't pay attention to shot composition. But the fact that this has got a hell of a good, like, history with that now, with 2 movies being fantastically done, I'm hoping it does that well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, having never seen the movie or never really paid any attention to it at all, that it'll give a good twist, and and it won't be like very clearly, you know, from like it won't be out of left field. It will be, or rather, it will be out of left field rather than straight down the middle. I know my sports analogies, I swear.
Well, and I feel like it's sort of a miracle to get like 50 different huge actors that just keep getting more and more popular and bigger throughout this trilogy, get them all together at one time to film this movie. It's not like 2 or 3 people are together at one time and they're just sort of swapping them out. It's like, no, here's a room full of 13 of Hollywood's biggest actors of the 2000s. So I feel like with this movie, even if they weren't formally cutting it off at a trilogy, I feel like the writing was on the wall, where especially the lead 2 actors are going to be like, guys, I can't keep doing this movie where you're scheduling 40 different people. Like, either you got to pay me $1 bajillion, or like we gotta wrap this up. So I feel like
George
this
Clooney
is sort of the
has
natural
humanitarian things that he needs to take care of.
right.
I feel like this is probably, if it was him.
Which one?
Like, you go ahead, finish your point, and I'll explain what I mean by that.
Okay. I feel like this is probably the natural point where it's like, we're going to go out with a huge bang. Everybody's going to get their stories resolved. And then we're going to kind of go like the end of Ocean's 11. We're all going to go our separate ways.
Yeah. But yeah, George Clooney, like, I'm pretty sure after this movie was when he basically paid for a satellite to get orbited over Africa to make sure war crimes aren't happening.
Right. He turned into actual Batman.
Yes. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what he's done with his time since.
Yeah. So, pretty understandable.
Yeah. And
doing good stuff.
Ashton Kutcher, the reason why you haven't seen him in anything is because he's busy fighting sex trafficking, just so you know, folks.
I thought you were going to be like, he got busted by George Clooney for war crimes. Ashton, no. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to go watch Ocean's 13.
Yeah, let's see if this is a good movie at least.
All right, we'll be back. Welcome back. We have seen the movie. We've watched Ocean's 13. The heist is complete. And Moonpir and I are back to talk about this film. I will admit, I watched this on like Wednesday. We're recording this on Sunday.
I'm guessing you can't remember a thing about it.
I sort of had to go look up a synopsis a little bit here before we start recording, which is unusual for this stuff.
I watched this last night.
Okay.
And let me tell you, I'm struggling to remember things about this movie.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because I think when you look at Ocean's 11, you're like, oh, snap, the heist, oh, the twist, yeah. You look at Ocean's 12, it's just like, this is real weird, but in a way that I kind of dig. Ocean's 13 feels like them trying to have lightning strike again from Ocean's 11 instead of doing something new again. And it's sort of not great. It's fine.
This is average. Like, this movie is so average.
And, like, it even has Pacino doing a pretty good job in this. And there's not, like... It's really hard because, number one, everybody's back again, which is great. It's nice to be like, oh, we never heard from that guy. He took his money and ran, whatever. Here's the new guy. The new guy is, Terry Benedict, who's the 13th guy, which... I now remember where I remember that from, because when the Ocean's 13 trailer came out, it had Terry Benedict saying, like, that I was born ready sort of thing, and George Clooney doing this, like, terrible over-the-top eye roll. And I was like, oh, now I remember. Okay, now I remember that. But I think I sort of have two problems with this. One is, I think the motivation for the whole team is okay. Ruben getting hurt because he gets screwed by Willie Bank, which is a really great name because, of course, he calls his casino the bank.
And the jackpot is Break the Bank, which is puns all around, which, of course, you adore.
It's really good. But I think one of my biggest problems with this movie is, so there's the A plot, which is we need to try and screw over Willie Bank as much as we can. There's the B plot, which is the 5-star diamond casino ranking, whatever. That has like 7 words in the phrase, and I can never remember.
5 diamond award.
There we go. And then like there's this small C plot of steal the diamonds even though it's impossible. And I feel like the A plot is pretty good. I think it's sort of what you want from a heist movie, especially with, we've been talking about this for the whole show ever since, I think Fast 5, which is you tell the plan up front, it will go wrong. You don't tell the plan up front, then you show it as they execute it.
Yeah.
They tell the whole plan up front, and they're like, yeah, this should be really straightforward. We're just going to go do it. And then like monkey wrenches here and there. Even the cast says like, every time we do something, it's going wrong. It's like, well, yeah, you talked about it. Yes. I think that stuff is fine, but that B plot of like messing with the guy that is coming in to do the 5-star review. Dude.
I feel so bad.
I feel so bad for it, but like, I think the movie could be okay without it, because I feel like Saul doesn't get a big enough window of time in the movie to play the fake reviewer guy, even though that character he's portraying is pretty good. Like,
yes.
like Carl Reiner playing other characters is really good. But I feel like that whole thing never really paid off in a way that I thought was super satisfying. Even at the very end where Willie Bank is like, I don't even know who you are. And it's like, yeah, like it's a pretty good line, but it never really had like the gut punch that I think really needed to seal that deal.
Yeah, and it's one of those things as well. Like, fun fact, by the way, some of the trivia about this: the "You shook Sinatra's hand" line,
yeah,
is a pretty good, like, we are old school mobsters essentially. So
right.
It's all about respect,
like honor among thieves here.
Yeah. Also, Frank Sinatra played Danny Ocean in the original '60s one that we are not doing as part of this series.
I didn't know that. That's good.
Which is a pretty solid thing, but it's like it feels petty.
Yeah,
like
it feels like more personal than even Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
because Ocean's 11 was very much like, look, you took my girl, like I'm gonna take all of your money.
But this is like, you hurt one of us, so now we're just gonna destroy you, kind of thing. Like,
we're gonna drain your money completely, like, and eat way more money than the first movie ever dealt with. Because the first movie was what, $160 million, something around there.
Yeah.
And this movie is like $500 million.
Yeah,
like it's a ludicrous amount of money. Yeah, like it just, there was that really great shot. It's almost like a Fight Club shot where they're panning across the casino floor and all the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, I thought that was actually a pretty good shot. It doesn't fit with the style of the trilogy, but I thought it was kind of an interesting way of showing how that looks.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about this movie because honestly, like, it feels like a good B movie based on a really good AAA movie kind of thing.
Sure. Like something that'd be on afternoons, like Saturday afternoon on TBS.
Like Masters of the Universe kind of thing, where it's like, that movie is a decent enough movie, but you know, it's the kids' version of Conan is essentially what it is. So
right.
It's a decent enough movie, but the threads that lead to the heist don't feel as tightly woven. They don't feel as solid as they did in the first one. And like I said, giving bedbugs to the poor guy who's just trying to review a hotel is not great. Like, don't get me wrong, he gets his positive thing in the end.
Sure.
But yeah, everything here just feels super petty against this dude because, like, yeah, okay, the first one, sure. He took Tess. That's fine. He took Tess.
Right.
But that movie is, from the get-go, George Clooney is like, it's about the money. This is all about the money.
Right.
Tess, if he happens to get Tess, then great. If he doesn't, then that's fine too.
And like Ruben had a skin in the game too, because, you know, Terry Benedict keeps buying up all of his old casinos and blowing them up in front of him. So he's like, yeah, man, like, let's do it. Like, it's impossible, but yeah, this guy sucks. Let's go.
But it was always about the money. Whereas, and the second one is kind of very similar. It's like, the second one feels more like a tit for tat, like an ego contest. And this just feels like petty vengeance.
Right. I mean, even the bad guy from the second one shows up at the end to like steal the diamonds. And it's like, why are you here?
In his camouflage,
what are you
camouflaged parachute set.
Yeah, like, what are you doing up here, dude? Like, and I think I was a little disappointed to see them go back to the well with Matt Damon's other parent, which, unlike the second one, number one, love that actor, but I think after them having his mom show up in the second one, which you didn't really see coming. But this one, because he talked about his dad really early on, it's just like, okay, when's this dude going to show up? Like it just, you're sort of waiting. It's like we talk about where someone's like, you got to go see this movie. It has the best twist. And you're just like waiting for the thing to happen. And when it happens, you're like, there it was. Okay. And I don't think anything in this trilogy will plumb the depths of the worst scene in the second movie. But I think the Lenny Pepperidge stuff with the nose gets pretty close just based on scene length. Like,
it does feel like it's dragged a little bit.
Yeah, because like number one, the nose is funny. Just like how hugely long it is on Matt Damon's face. Number two, I think all of them agreeing that the nose plays and like continually saying that, I think was funny.
Yes.
And I do like watching Matt Damon turn on the charm when he's like trying to schmooze what he's calling a cougar.
He never ever gets to do that in any of his roles. He's always
like running through Prague or
action
driving
guy or giant quiet nerd. Like that's the two things he does basically. He never gets to turn on the schmooze, and
and that was fun.
Yes, like I was a fan of that because he showed his acting chops quite a lot in those scenes, and shows that by the end of the movie, then he's like he says to the guys like, "I'll see you next time," or "I'll see you around," kind of thing. It's like, okay, he's matured. He's
like off on his own.
Yeah, he's got his experience. He has come to
his dad has a job.
His character arc, like he feels like the only character who actually gets an arc throughout the course of the 3 movies.
Right, like even what's his name, Yen, is barely in the movie. They're like, "Hey man, go in that elevator shaft. Go do your thing," and he's like, "Okay," and it's like a 2-minute thing, and they're like, "All right, see you later."
Yeah, and then
I do have to say the joke with Yen that they never subtitle him and everyone in the movie understands him will never get old for me.
Oh no, I like the fact that this is the thing, is not everybody understands him. Like Saul understands him, the other old guy understands him, Danny and Rusty understand him. Nobody else in the group understands him in the first movie. Nobody understands him in the second movie, and in this movie, Matt Damon understands him for the first time.
One of my favorite jokes in the second one is where Bernie Mac, when Yen comes out of the underwater with the scuba stuff on, he yells him, and Bernie Mac's like, "What?" He yells it again. He's like, "Oh, okay," and then like does it. So there's a little like, "No, I don't understand you." It's like, "Oh no, I just didn't hear you." I think I wish Pacino had been in there maybe a little bit more, or been like a little bit stronger. I did really like when he was trapped in like that the command center for the like the Fast Saga style computer system that like biometrically figures out if someone legitimately won, which is like they were halfway through that explanation. I was like, yeah, the computer's the bad guy. Okay, interesting. Sure.
Yeah.
I liked him like pacing like a caged animal where he knows like something is happening on the floor and he can't get out. I thought that was really good. But
I like the fact that they bring in the magnetron by literally giving him the phone.
Yeah. Like it was one of those, there's a really great like throwaway thing where he's when he gets that phone, it's like a Samsung gold plated thing, which I think this movie is just old enough that phone doesn't, it's
so
like
ancient, it doesn't play
it's
anymore.
Pre-iPhone, so like I have no idea what the significance of that phone is anymore. They could have been like the first iPhone off the line and we'd still be like, ooh, oh. But I love the line that his assistant writes where she's like, "Thank you so much for your generosity," or whatever. And like, as soon as he rips it in half, her voiceover stops like in the middle of a word. And I was like, that's really good. That's a good piece.
I love the fact that they got Julian Sands in to be the bloody computer guy as well. Like,
yeah.
He's a really talented actor, and they bring him in for like 5 lines about this computer.
They bring him in to be like, it's legitimate. It's like, oh, ooh, okay. Computer guy says it's good.
Okay, sure, why not? I'm not gonna lie, Eddie Izzard. I'm so pleased with Eddie Izzard in this movie. How they use him as the audience cipher to explain how they're gonna do the job. And like,
right, he's the it's impossible guy of this movie.
Yeah, and like he's the one who, like, they bring him in and he's like, okay, so you're stuck on something, run it through me and let's go from the top down, don't skip any important details.
I like he's like solving all these problems and they're like, no, we've got it all figured out, like we're going to go do this thing. And I thought that was a really good scene, and I never recognize Eddie Izzard because he doesn't have makeup on, and like I'm so used to like the stand-up version of him that when he's in something else, I'm like, hey, gosh, he looks so familiar. Who is this guy? What's he been in? It's like, oh, okay, right, it's him.
Yeah, I really, certain characters in this movie feel great. All in all, it was a little bit of a letdown. Like, it's not a bad movie, but out of the three we've seen, it is a distinctly average movie.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, nothing in it really stands out. Like, you know, one has an incredible heist that, like you said, all the threads are really tightly woven. Two is kind of weird and stylistically interesting. Like, this one doesn't even have a really strong style to it like one and two did.
It didn't have Elvis.
Right.
I mean,
why don't you have Elvis in there?
Like, come on.
What are you doing? Yeah. I think after watching this, I don't think I'm of the opinion that this didn't need to get made, because I don't think it's that bad. But I think this is definitely the point where you say, like, this is a trilogy. We're done. Like, this is where you call it, and this is where you kind of send everybody off and everybody's good, because
I'm also pretty
you're not going to have a better 14th movie.
Yeah, and I'm also pretty sure that at that point, every single one of them was doing much bigger, more important work.
I mean, especially like the top three, like Clooney, Pitt, and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon was literally filming this and The Bourne Ultimatum at the same time.
Oh, yeah. So Matt Damon's sort of been like, hey, man, like, this movie's doing okay, but like, the Bourne movies are killing it, so I'm gonna go do those.
To give you an idea, do you remember the scene where he's walking around? I think he's in London and he's trying to get information, and he's like, "Look, I've burned through my best 4 IDs. You know, I don't even have a name yet. I'm kind of
7 names, yeah."
That was literally filmed because he was in London filming The Bourne Ultimatum at the same time.
So it's like a fun pickup shot.
Yes, it's also a fun reference because he says, I've got 4 IDs and I've lost them all.
Right.
I don't have a name. It's like, you're literally just referencing the Bourne series.
Right, like we just took a couple pages off the other script and read them. Yeah. I think, I don't think this is a real bummer, but it's fine. And I think it could have been so much more with, although we forgot to mention the workers revolt.
Oh, we're going to talk about
Mexico.
The two brothers. I was going to say that those two have a great story arc, and one of them is maturing. One of them is becoming the bigger man, and that's good to see. And it's not the one you'd expect.
Right, right. And I thought it's pretty fun to see them like literally sprinting from like costume change to kind of juggle 3 or 4 things at once while the heist is going on. I thought that stuff was pretty good, but there were a couple of bright spots, but it's kind of time for them to go. You know, one last heist.
The working conditions here aren't good enough. Like,
right. So
I love the fact that when they're discussing that as well, like when he's like, look, the brothers have got them on strike. They want like a 5% wage increase. And he's like, so it brings it to like 36,000 or something. And then George Clooney's like, well, how many workers? And he's like, 200. Okay, so that's $7 million. And then Rusty's like, no. 36,000 total.
Right, for the 200. Like, that's... And I like that somebody's like, just write him a check.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even an issue.
We'll post-date it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the Oceans trilogy here, which means that next episode we're going to start on Oceans 8, which I don't even know if I've seen a trailer for, so I'm kind of excited.
I saw a trailer. Fun fact.
Way back when?
Yeah, way back when. Also, this got my wife's attention when it first came out because it's a movie about a bunch of ladies, which there isn't enough of.
8 cool women doing crimes.
Yep. And from what I understand, this is one of those how did you get these many names in this movie kind of thing.
Yeah, because they're all already big.
Yes. I know Sandra Bullock is the ocean of the piece. And I know...
Sandy Ocean.
Yep. Kate Blanchett is in there. Anne Hathaway is in there. After, like, being Catwoman as well, for the record, folks. And crazy haired lady who's always in Tim Burton movies.
Oh,
Helen Bohemia Carter, whatever her name is. Yes,
like Helena Bonham Carter. There it is. I got it.
This is a who's who of female actors, and the best thing is, while watching Ocean's 13 last night, my wife was like, "I'm going to watch Ocean's 8." Right next to me on the television.
So you're just holding your hand up to the right
I was sitting there like, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching this. Holy crap, Kate Blanchett is still gorgeous. I'm not watching this. I'm not.
Your wife is cheering, and you're like, no, I can't watch.
Oh
man. Well, that'll be our next episode. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.